The Terran Defiance hung motionless in the void between galaxies, its dark hull barely visible against the star-scattered darkness. Captain Barris stood on the bridge, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the tactical display. Before them stretched the entirety of the Galactic Empire's fleet, 10 million warships arranged in perfect formation, their combined firepower capable of sterilizing entire star systems. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Maliha reported from her station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Empire flagship. They're demanding our surrender." Barris turned slightly, a thin smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "After what they did to Earth? To the colonies?" He shook his head. "Put them through." The holographic display shimmered, revealing the imposing figure of Emperor Zexathari. His forearms crossed in what humans had learned was a gesture of supreme confidence among his species. The alien's compound eyes glittered with malevolent satisfaction. "Human," the Emperor's voice resonated through the bridge's translation system. "You pilot the last ship of your pathetic species. Surrender now and I will grant you the honor of witnessing the final cleansing of human filth from this galaxy." Barris stepped forward, his expression calm. "Emperor, you made one critical error in your calculations." "And what would that be, Primitive?" "You assumed we'd fight fair." Before the Emperor could respond, Barris cut the transmission and turned to his crew. The bridge of the Terran Defiance was unlike any warship the galaxy had ever seen. Where other species built vessels of gleaming metal and energy weapons, humans had built something far more dangerous. They had built a ship that could think. "Maliha, status on the quantum cascade array?" The young officer's fingers danced across her console, her face illuminated by streams of data.
"All systems green, Captain."
"The cascade matrix is stable and ready for deployment." The Terran Defiance was humanity's final gambit, built in secret during the last days of the war, while the Empire had hunted down and destroyed every human colony, every fleet, every last desperate refuge. Earth's greatest scientists had worked on a single, impossible project. They had discovered something the Empire's scientists, for all their advanced technology, had never considered. That space itself could be weaponized. "Captain," called out Chief Engineer Hassan from his station, "I'm reading massive energy buildup from the Empire fleet. They're preparing to fire everything they have." "Expected," Barris replied calmly. "They want to make sure there are no pieces left to study." "How long until they're in range?" 30 seconds. Barris nodded and activated the ship-wide communication system. "Crew of the Terran Defiance, this is your captain speaking. Today, we don't just fight for humanity's survival. Today, we fight to ensure that no other species will ever suffer what we have suffered. Today, we teach the galaxy that some lines should never be crossed." He paused, looking around at his bridge crew. These weren't the finest officers of the Terran fleet. Those had died defending the colonies. These were survivors, refugees, engineers, and scientists who had volunteered for what everyone knew was a one-way mission. "Maliha, initiate the quantum cascade." Her hands moved to a series of switches protected by blast shields. "Cascade initiation in 10 seconds. Captain, once this begins, there's no stopping it. The reaction will consume our ship as well." "Understood. For Earth." "For Earth," the crew replied in unison. The Terran Defiance began to hum with an energy that seemed to vibrate in dimensions beyond the physical. Deep within the ship's core, human scientists had achieved what the Empire thought impossible. They had created a controlled tear in the quantum substrate of space itself. The Empire fleet opened fire, their combined barrage turning space itself into a hellscape of plasma and energy. But their weapons struck empty void. The Terran Defiance was no longer entirely in normal space. "Cascade at 50%, Maliha reported, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were unleashing. "Quantum field propagation beginning." On the Empire flagship, alarms were beginning to sound. Their sensors were detecting something impossible. Space itself was beginning to unravel, starting from the point where the human ship had been. Emperor Zexathari's confident expression crumbled as his science officers reported readings that defied every law of physics they knew. The fabric of space-time was cascading outward from the human position, creating an expanding sphere of absolute destruction that consumed matter, energy, and even the quantum fields that held reality together. "What are they doing?" the Emperor demanded. "Your Majesty," his chief scientist replied, terror evident in his voice. "They're collapsing local space-time. The reaction is self-sustaining and accelerating. At current expansion rate, it will reach our fleet in... The transmission cut off as the cascade wave consumed the first line of Empire ships. They didn't explode or burn. They simply ceased to exist. Their matter converted to pure energy that fed the expanding wave of destruction. On the Terran Defiance, now existing partially outside normal spacetime, Barris watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The cascade was working exactly as the scientists had predicted. The wave of quantum destruction was expanding exponentially, consuming the Empire fleet ship by ship. "Captain," Maliha called out, her voice now showing strain as the ship's structure began to fluctuate between dimensions. "Cascade at 90%. We're approaching the point of no return." Barris nodded. Through the viewports, he could see the cascade wave spreading like ripples on a cosmic pond, each ripple erasing entire battle groups from existence. The Emperor's flagship, massive and powerful though it was, disappeared as completely as the smallest scout ship. But the wave didn't stop there. As the human scientists had calculated, the quantum cascade would continue until it reached the Empire's home galaxy, consuming their core worlds, their colonies, their entire civilization. In one night, 10,000 years of galactic tyranny would be erased. "Message drone ready, Captain," reported the communications officer. Barris had recorded a final message to be launched just before the cascade consumed their ship. A warning and a promise to any other species that might consider following the Empire's example. It would take the drone years to reach the nearest inhabited systems, but eventually the galaxy would know what had happened here. "Launch the drone and prepare for final phase." The Terran Defiance shuddered as the cascade wave finally reached their position. As the ship began to dissolve into quantum foam, Barris felt a moment of profound satisfaction. Humanity might be extinct, but they had ensured that their destroyers would not outlive them. The wave continued to expand, carrying with it the final lesson humanity had to teach the universe, that some species, when pushed beyond all limits, don't just fight back. They take their enemies with them into oblivion. By dawn, both the Galactic Empire and humanity were gone, leaving only empty space and a warning that would echo through the cosmos for millennia to come.